Thank you very much. And so, introduction, there is going to be a part that is repeated in the introduction. I hope that this will help you also present, of course, is more centered around stand-up comedy and how to write stand-up comedies. But also these jokes are probably transferable to your presentation and your daily life, hopefully. All right, so I start with the outline. So we are going to have a short introduction. Vanessa, she stole my job here. I want to give an introduction. Then we're going to see the principle of comedy, how to write and memorize. And I think also memorize is a good tool to have on your bag. Some personal key learnings that I have during this time doing stand-up comedy. Social media, if anyone is interested in growing on social media, I'm giving some information about social media stats. And that's it. That's the first slide. Okay, now this is my introduction. Who is this guy? Just to set up credibility, I wanted to self-praise myself. I didn't know Vanessa was praising me already, so I have some repetition. But I think also, as I will mention later, that for credibility is a component of comedy. You know, if you go on stage and you have a certain background, your jokes are going to perceive different. So that's why I also put some self-praise. So I started with comedy in Sydney in 2016. Now it's been 8 years that I'm doing that. 40 million views, that was already mentioned by Vanessa, 40 million views between the different social medias. So that's why people come to my show, basically, because they see me on the social medias and YouTube. Another data that was already given, 5,000 spectators. And I have a comedy special. I invite you to watch my comedy special. It's on Netflix. Not many people did watch it, so I came here tonight hoping to find people to watch my comedy special on YouTube. All right. But great. So this is my hobby. I just wanted to tell you that I also have a daily job, so that's why I'm not dedicated 100% to that. I work at Roche Diagnostics. That's why I'm wearing a shirt tonight. Otherwise, usually my fellow comedians don't wear shirts. So, all right. So let's start with a basic question, like what is comedy? Is anyone that wants to give it a shot, what is comedy? What is like the easiest definition of comedy? Is anyone? They told me that here are really participating, really into the presentation. Here we go, please. Maybe people laugh. Yeah, generally it's, I think, correct, like anything that brings laughter or amusement, right? That's how we can define comedy. Super simple, right? Anything that brings laughter or amusement. Now, this is really subjective, right? We don't laugh for the same things, right? This is really important to keep in mind, right? Also, I'm going to show some of my jokes here. I'm going to also say some of jokes of other people, and I'm sure not everyone will like it, right? But it's the nature of comedy that is subjective by nature. So it depends on different elements, of course. I mean, we all can think about them, right? Assumptions, mood, understanding, familiarity with the references. Those are all elements that play into finding a joke interesting or amusing or laughable, and depends from person to person. So there is also this sentence that I like to say. I hate when a person see a comedian and say it's not funny. You can never say that. I think you can just say I don't find him or her funny, but not that the person is not funny, right? Everyone that goes on stage on a stand-up comedy show finds the jokes that he says funny, right? So if you take like little clones of this person and you put it in the audience, you will get a big laugh. So just always consider it's always subjective. And also, in the next slide, we're going to see elements that, particularly from stand-up comedy, that make something more funny or less funny that maybe you don't think. When I started stand-up comedy, I think the biggest learning that I had was that you can say a joke on a room with the same delivery, same energy, and get a big laugh. You go to another room just the same night, and you get zero reaction from the audience, right? Depends a lot on the room itself. It's not that a joke is funny every night, is funny with every audience. There is a dynamic, a magic that is created between the comedians and the audience. And I wanted also to bring some of these factors, like to show you some of these factors that you wouldn't think, right? But as stand-up comedians, they know. Usually they know what are the factors. And I'm going to show you a few of them. So first of all, of course, the public, right? Age, culture, social setting, corporate event. You know, we have this saying in stand-up comedy, the most paying gigs are the ones that are the less fun to do, because there are, people don't laugh usually. A corporate setting, it's, you know, you have people, what they think if I laugh, or should I laugh, or they're not in the mood. It depends also how much alcohol they drank. When I like to come after the alcohol consumption, so that's where I like to be booked. Then the perception they have of you, right? If you find a comedian arrogant, you tend not to laugh at him. That's a learning. Sometimes it's enough to have some big laugher in the audience, right? If you have like 5 people that laugh a lot, brings people with them. That's the same principle of having the soundtrack of laugh in a TV show, right? That's the same principle. It brings you in the right mood. And then, of course, the general energy of the crowd. And on the general energy, there are different elements. Between the most important day and time, right? This is influence a lot, the mood of the people. I see the difference between a Monday show and a Friday show, right? Friday show is much more energy. It's stating the obvious, right? And also early show with late show. Usually I have more energy on early show. Sometimes I double up show. I do an early and a late show. And on the early show, I usually get the best energy. And late show, they're getting a bit sleepy. You know, my audience are usually between 25 and 35. Those guys cannot stand too long after bedtime. So another element that you wouldn't maybe think is the room. The room plays a really big role. And what we look first is low ceiling or high ceiling, all right? We prefer low ceiling. So for instance, this room is not ideal for stand-up comedy. It's, the ceiling is a bit too high. We like low ceiling. The lighting, to be, let's say, not as dark as possible, but at least it was not too bright. Aseptic room is a cool hipster room. Cool hipster room is better for comedy. You know, if it's a room that is aseptic, also influence the mood of the people, the noise on the background, and the temperature. On the temperature, I had this quote of Jerry Seinfeld, right? These comedians know if you go up 1 degree in temperature, the room laughs go down by 20%. I experimented it many times. In summer, you get less reaction. It gets hotter, they don't even realize it. Maybe if you go to a show, you don't even realize it, but that's what happened. These are some elements. There are other elements, of course, but these are the principles that came to my mind. All right, making a joke. Probably this is something that you already know, just for the one of you that maybe don't know these two words, setup and punchline. So there are like these two elements, setup, of course, and punchline. So the setup is what you have to say to bring people on the journey, right? To start going direction of a joke. Punchline is where you laugh, right? Is where you are supposed to laugh, right? In this joke of Mitch Hedberg, I used to do drag. I still do, but I used to too, right? There's a famous joke. I had to choose one that is short. This does quite a pretty good job. So that's why we have this one. Good. And now with this premise of how a joke is structured, we are going into the first part. There are the triggers of laughter. Every joke has those elements. There are 9 elements that generate laughter, right? They are then used in joke structures that we are going to see after the triggers. We're going to deep dive in the structure. So what are those triggers? So first one, surprise. Surprise is an element that generates laughter. If used good, is a plot twist. You know, you have a plot twist, you didn't see that coming, makes you laugh. Probably you know those type of jokes that have a plot twist at the end, right? Superiority, feeling superior to a person or to an animal brings joy somehow, you know? Like a classic example could be the cat that's trying to jump, right? And miss the jump, right? Makes you laugh. Why? Because you feel superior, stupid cat, right? That's the trigger. Embarrassment, right? In the movies, for instance, like a person going naked and in the street because for some reason he couldn't reach his clothes, so he goes home like covering himself, is embarrassing and makes people laugh. Release. There's a story that creates tension, right? And then it gets released, right? This could be I have an example. For instance, what would you like people to say at your funeral, right? And then you can say, well, that, oh my God, it's moving, you know? That's, something starting with tension, like a funeral, like people putting people on spikes, and then have a release. Then incongruity. So imposing characteristics, giving an object thoughts, right? Something like absurd. That's a thing that also brings laughter. Like for instance, I put an animal speaking or an atheist praying, right? It's two things that make you think because they don't make sense together. Configurational. So when the audience figure out the punchline from themselves, all right? I have this joke that I say sometimes is I used to date an Asian girl. She was from China. Already a red flag, so they're laughing here. So basically, reconfiguration, why is a red flag? Well, because China is a red flag, and you put the elements together, right? So that's a configurational joke. Recognition. So this is a basic event that most can relate to. As Vanessa was saying, I do a lot of jokes regarding taking a fine on the train or elements that you recognize, right? You have seen on your daily life, and you are more prone to laugh at this thing that you recognize. Then we have ambivalence, mixed feelings or contradictory ideas. Being happy about a bad situation. That's dark humor, I would say, mostly. Coincidence, like a casual connection between two events. On coincidence, I can tell you a joke. So let's see if I have it. So this is not my joke, so don't judge it. All right? So you ever realize that people who don't believe in climate change think sorry. Cut this part, Hugo. It was not. You ever realize that people who don't believe in climate change, they think it's just a part of Earth's natural evolution, but they don't believe in evolution? These are two elements, a coincidence, two elements that are connected and can be brought together. All right. So before we go to a joke, and then I would like on the next joke to see what elements are used. I just want to say that those elements are not used usually in one by one. Usually there is a mix of them in the same joke, right? There is basically a joke that contains different elements or maybe is intertwined with two elements. There are like the elements, but sometimes it's not like a clear cut between one and the other. All right, then now I'm going to show you one of my jokes. And I would like you to tell me what are the triggers of laughter in the jokes. I think you already received the memo. There should be the triggers written on them, so you can use that for then recognizing them on the next jokes. All right. We ready? All right. Let's go. I like to use the automatic checkout. Last time actually I got a control and I forgot one item. This happened to you. Man, you forgot one item. Bitch, I'm doing this shit for free, okay? I'm doing your work for free here. You cannot expect a perfect job, okay? All right. All right. Who wants to take a stab on what triggers are present in this joke? Incongruity. So I would say, what's that? Recognition, right? You have been there, right? Cope. Anything else? You see that? So I would say there is.
I think the surprise as well.
Surprise, okay, correct, right? Because you didn't expect like a control, comes a control, surprise element. And then I would put also embarrassment, right? There's a sort of embarrassment of getting controlled, getting checked when you have one item. And maybe also superiority. You feel like superior to the comedian that forgot one item because it's forgetful, right? So you see like different elements in the same jokes. That was the point of the video. Good. So now we have seen this trigger of laughter, right? And this is, you can see them as a brick, as the bricks to build a joke, right? And jokes usually have a structure, right? This is our 12 joke structures that comedians usually use. I mean, they are almost exhaustive, right? Maybe you can find something different, but those should be recognizable in the jokes that you see by a comedian or even a written joke, right? Okay, we start with double meaning, double entendre, right? When the word has two meanings and is used to generate laughter, all right? This is also one of my maybe I shouldn't say this is one of my jokes, right? Maybe it's better if I don't. So it's a joke, guys. It's a joke. My father is against same-sex marriage, and he said to me, son, you will see that if you are married with the same woman for 40 years, you will find out that same sex every night is boring as fuck. That's my joke. Not a strong joke. That was my. Sorry?
There is no woman in the sentence.
I didn't get there's no woman in what sense?
No. So you said you are married to the same woman for 40 years. This is same-sex marriage, right? And the sentence doesn't say a woman, right? So it kind of breaks the joke, doesn't it?
Didn't I say it? Damn.
You said woman, yeah.
I said woman. There. All right. There was a mismatch on what it was written, but then I hope you cannot read on the back so that I say it, and hopefully I get it right. So double entendre, so double meaning of the same sex is double meaning on both. Triples, probably have seen it, that one, like you have, usually in comedy, you try to have triples, right? It's what bring most laughter. I think already on the Bible there are a lot of triples, not jokes, but triples, three elements that comes together to form in this case a joke. So I have this joke on Aldi. People say that you cannot find everything at Aldi, right? And it's true. It's true. You look for coriander, you don't find it. You look for rosemary, you don't find it. You look for a normal person, you don't find it. It's not everything at Aldi. Those are the three elements. So you say, if I would say, you look for coriander, you don't find it. You look for a normal person. It wouldn't be that funny. Usually we go always on element of three on this joke structure. All right, reverses is switch point of view. And I have another video for this one.
My neighbor put a room in Airbnb. He put a room of his apartment in Airbnb. But I didn't know. I saw for a while these beautiful girls like coming in, going out of the morning. I thought he's having plenty of action, the guy. He didn't tell me. I met him in the elevator. I was like, look, I wanted to compliment you. I saw a lot of traffic lately. And then he told me, honestly, I just do it for the money. I'm like, what? You get paid? You get...
All right, so this is point of view, right? You see, he is having a point of view, right? And the conversation doesn't work because we have different assumptions, right? All right, next next element of the joke structures. Simple truth. Simple truth is not really used that often. It's used in the literal meaning of a phrase. I have this one, call me an ambulance, right? A person on the ground, call me an ambulance, and they say, okay, you are an ambulance, right? So that could be a simple truth joke. All right, superiority. Superiority is also like element of trigger, but so a trigger of laughter. but it can also, of course, be used as a joke structure. So I have this one. I recently downloaded Too Good To Go. You know Too Good To Go, guys? You know Too Good To Go? Yes, it's a great app. But I didn't know it was about food. At the beginning, I thought it was a dating app for people on the late 30s. Surprising. So this is, super obvious because it's stupid. I thought it was a dating app. So incongruity, there are two logical but unconventional ideas that goes together, right? We've seen it also before in the triggers of laughter. It can also be a trigger. So
This never happened to you that you lost a sock in the washing machine? Has it? Yes. I have seven unpaired socks in my drawer. 7. But now I came up with a solution. I keep these unpaired socks with the paired socks, right? And from time to time, I take one out for masturbation. Yes. It's not what you think. So when I'm done, I put these unpaired socks with the paired socks. And it's all about sending a message to the paired socks. If you or your brother decide to leave, this is what is going to happen to the other one, motherfucker.
All right, that was kind of on the vulgar side, guys. I quite like the joke. I put it in. I'm sorry. But this is about to incorrect, like giving, like a persona to an object. It's quite a fun way to go. Good, let's continue. Paired phrases. So basically this is you play on word that sounds alike. This is one of mine. I have a Moroccan friend that is really racist. It's part of a group. It's part of the KKK. Yes, it's the Couscous clan. That's it's basically people play with the words and you generate a humorous setup. Slapstick. Slapstick is called also act out. You place some physicality in the joke to add the humor to it, right? I have an example also here.
I try to keep fit. I go to a non-stop gym here in Zurich. I thought it was called non-stop because you open 24 hours. No, it's called non-stop because he never stopped to surprise you. The other day I walked in, there was a guy doing like this with a weight. What the fuck are you, a Flixbus driver? It's like, I know the guy took the weight, started doing like this. I don't know if he was doing speech therapy for Italians. I wasn't sure what he was training for. Stepper is really a big thing in my gym. I don't know if you have steppers in the gym, the fake stairs, right? I wanted to try, once at least. It was this girl that was there for an hour. At some point, I thought, okay, let's send the message. So I placed myself like this in front of the stepper. And she went like, at some point, oh, are you waiting for the stepper? No, I'm training the elevator. I'm training the elevator. Just take your time. Right?
All right, so this is, for instance, I think directly about the physicality of the jokes, right? So I think they are, most of the time, the funniest jokes that you can do in stand-up comedy. All right, last part of joke structures, okay? Recognition. Recognition, we were mentioning before, is something that you recognize on your daily life. This one, for instance, it's about Zurich, this one. So Zurich is so expensive, right, that in other cities, people usually take things out of the trash for saving money, right? Poor people takes things out of the trash for saving money. In Zurich, like poor people put stuff in the public trash to save money, to save on the Zurich sack. It's a bit a difference, only different. Okay. This was my best joke. From now on, we go down. Eh? That's how. Good. Compare and contrast. A statement implies complexity, but then it's going simple, right? This is also one of my. No, it's not my proudest joke, but it worked a lot. Okay, it worked a lot. This joke, I stopped using it, but maybe I go back because otherwise I guess you read it, guys, and I lost the momentum. So I go to a physician here. He's a Russian physician, a Russian doctor. He's really good. He's a really good doctor. He's actually homosexual. I mean, I have no problem with it. Absolutely no problem. But it was kind of weird because it was the first thing that he told me when I walked in his studio. It was like, "Hallo, ich bin Sergei." That was. Thank you. Thank you, Emilio. Emilio is it's a joke. All right. So basically, it looked like complex. Why mention it at the beginning? At the end is a silly jokes because it was just a misunderstanding. All right. Comedy, irony. You know, it can be used in daily life, can be used in comedy as well, right? Quite self-explanatory. I have this one, you know, I don't like cash out, right? Because I always get silly questions like cash out. You know, like the other day, I was there, I had like 300 items. And when the girl was finished like scanning the item, when like, would you like a bag? I was like, no, I'm eating everything here. It's fine. I don't, no, simply comedy irony, right? All right. And then there is benign retaliation, the last one. It's kind of, you know, similar to superiority, you know, like you want that a person that you dislike gets, you know, something negative, right? And I have another joke that I want to show you on benign retaliation.
Have you seen in LinkedIn social cases? You know these people that are overexcited about things that are not exciting at all, you know? I'm so excited to participate to the 52nd conference of electric humidifiers. I'm so excited. Oh, so you're not excited. No one is excited. The only person that is excited is your husband. You're going away a week and he has a place for himself, right?
All right. This basically goes against the LinkedIn freaks, basically, right? That we all dislike. Unless you're one, I guess. It's very dependent. All right, so this is where the element, basically the structures that contains then the triggers of laughter, right? All right, so in the workshop then we will use them, right, to create jokes. You will try first person to create jokes now that you know a bit, you know, what tools you have in the toolbox. And now I wanted to give some writing tips, right? Because I try to take 20 minutes per day. I not always manage, but I try to at least catch up in the weekend. If I don't manage to have the time to write, I write on the weekend and trying to keep 20 minutes per day, at least as a weekly average. So one of the things that comedians and generally I also use the most is like putting two ideas that you want to associate together, right? And we're going to see exactly this on the workshop. So, for instance, you want to create a joke on the street parade, right? So a good starting point is to think elements that are related to the street parade and elements that are related to Zurich, right? So you then, you know, Zurich, clean, you know, organized, street parade, messy, half-naked people, loud music, and you then try to take the element of the ideas and making clash to create a joke. That's one of the things that also helps inspiration, because if you have on two lists, you know, elements, then it's easier for your mind, you know, to make connections, right, and to see something that is absurd, something that makes you laugh. Then on this list, to complete them, I mean, usually, personally, I just come, you know, without even having to look at this list. But this can help providing elements for the list. You know, like if you think about a street parade, you know, and you want to write the elements of this street parade, you think about people. Okay, what kind of people that comes? Who are they? From where they're coming? Places where is the street parade taking place? Okay, along the lake. So let's write lake. Things related to the street parade, like loud music and so on and so forth. And then you have events, words, phrases, and cliches. You write them all down on the side, and then you do the same for Zurich, right? And then you have already a good starting point to write a joke and to get inspired. Good. So this is a writing tip number one. Writing tip number two. You can think, once you have the list, you can think about interview questions also to help you, like basically, who is doing that? What are they doing during the street parade? You know, what is that they like doing? So this is a bit repetitive with the first places, or where are they doing? Where are they going? From where to where are they going? When it's taking place? Can we do something around summer? A joke with summer or not summer? Why? How? You know, all interview questions that you would ask to a person about the event, and you can use it also for helping you having more starting point for a joke. Sometimes I do also this. I start a sentence and try to complete it, right? For instance, you can try later on the workshop to start with, Zurich is the best place for a rave party because, right? And then you try to find something that doesn't make sense, basically, because that's what makes generally laughter also when it's so incongruent that you like it, especially on this structure. This is a next step, right? If you write a joke, and this is more probably for stand-up comedy, maybe even in a presentation you can add it, but it's a bit, it's a bit risky probably. You can think about how can you use physicality to enhance the joke, right? How can you move your body in a way that the jokes it's even funnier? And this I would say is the next step. Good, then I have this, that is a really good tip that came later, I mean, in my, let's say, my comedy journey came later as an element for bringing more laughter. It's being specific on the punchline. So instead of saying, after the street parade, I usually go to bed and then I wake up around noon in the street. You would say, after the street parade, usually go to sleep and I wake up at noon on a bench in Bahnhofstrasse. It's when you add something specific to the punchline, usually it's funnier than if you are generic. Good, so then I here collected some important quotes on writing. I think a lot about these quotes, and I wanted to bring it here as well. So the first one is Sam Morril. Maybe you know the comedian, famous American comedian Sam Morril. It's actually contemporary. He's still doing stand-up comedy, and his tip is right. It's a matter of putting the time, right? You think that comedians just come there and tell the jokes that they just thought on the way to the show? No. Sometimes, but most of the time, they're a process. Like maybe you sit down, 20 minutes, nothing comes out, right? Next session, you come up with 3-4 jokes, right? And it's just a matter of writing. And also, this is really important. Comedy is a muscle. The more you write, the easier it's going to be to come up with jokes. And it's exactly, it seems silly, but it's exactly like this. When you start is the hardest moment because it takes you more time. You can be naturally talented. I think there is also an element of being naturally talented, but as in any sport, you can be a naturally talented sport, but training brings you to the next level. And the same is with comedy. And then I really like this one. The ring takes care of itself, right? So when I write, I don't think, oh, I'm going to come up with a joke today. I'm not going to come up. I just put the timer. I'm going to write 20 minutes no matter what, right? And then I see the jokes comes, right? I don't. You just invest in the process and not in the results. That's super important in something like comedy. And then this one is also sometimes true, and I hate to write because it's tedious sometimes, the process. You have to be focused, you have to spend the time. So I hate to write, but I love having written. So once you have some jokes that you like, then you are happy that you spend this time, right? So it's similar to some sports. And then this one that's more for stand-up comedy, of course, the value of comedians is proportional to the amount of good material he has. So if you go to a comedy show, it's not difficult to find a person that's good 5 minutes, right? Then the question is, can he do an hour? Can he do every year an hour? That's where you have a difference between comedians that do more materials and comedians that are funny for 5 minutes. Because you cannot tell if you go to a show, but that's a big difference. Good. All right, so this is, I think, is a part that is helpful to everyone, right? For a presentation, or even if you have to remember what you have to buy at Coop, it can be really a good way of memorizing. So usually my set are around 50 minutes, right? I change them normally every 6 months, so I have to memorize 50 minutes of material every 6 months. And it doesn't take me long. It takes me probably 1 hour and a half, 2 hours. Once I write the jokes down, then it takes me just that amount of time, maybe the double of the length. Please.
Yeah, question. Do you cater your jokes towards your audience? So do you analyze your audience before you write the jokes?
Yes. Yes. So I usually put in every set that if you come to listen to me, probably there are going to be 5 minutes in the middle that is new stuff. Then if it's good, I say keeper, and I put it on a list. And is it an iteration process, right? Now I'm confident also to try new stuff in a paid show, because I know if it's not going to be great, it's okay, going to be okay-ish. Maybe maybe not, but most of the time. so that's how I do it. But there are like spaces where you can try, of course, and I sometimes go. They're called open mics, right? You go, you try 5 minutes of new material. You usually have 5 to 7 minutes, and you can try new material. Yes. So back to memorizing. I use this technique that is called the memory palace. I tried different techniques. That one at the end was the one that worked better. So just to know, how many of you know the memory palace? So are we ready? Everyone. All right. That's for just the one person that doesn't know the memory palace. Then let's speed through the memory palace. All right. So basically, it's an imaginary location in your mind, and you store images, right? Mnemonic images. You make everything as an image, and it helps retain the concept. So, and there are different ways to apply the memory palace. I use the journey. Basically, I make a journey. I think about my home to work, for instance. I have different depending on the set that I want to say. But the one that I think is mostly home to work. And then I place elements of the jokes along the way, right? I have a joke about, for instance, LinkedIn. So I think if it's my opening joke, I think about a guy on a computer in LinkedIn in front of my house, right? And then I continue on the journey, and I go to the next joke. Airbnb joke. I place like a guy that opens a door and make me entry, and then I remember these are Airbnb jokes, and so on and so forth, right? At the beginning, it's also this one is like a muscle, exactly like a muscle. At the beginning, it takes longer, right? And then the more you train, the better it is. I think the important thing is to exaggerate the images. Basically, that's key. I mean, if you make the image bigger, it helps a lot retain it in your memory, right? If I think, for instance, of the guy on LinkedIn, I think a really huge screen, right? It's with a huge screen in front of my house. And then I do a lot, many sensory detail, as many as possible. Like smells, you wouldn't think, right? But smells really help. If you think, oh, this guy, smells like humid, I don't know, so anything, right? Any smell that you associate to the element, it will help you remind it. Bright colors. Sometimes I think it's having a really bright light and I cannot see it. These are all elements that you add to the memory palace, to the journey, that will help retain the images, but by a lot. I mean, I would honestly say you have to add at least one element to every element on your journey. So basically one sensory detail. All right. Perfect. Then these are some learning from the stage, right? This is a personal learning that I had along the journey. So, and is how I would organize if you, let's say, before maybe a question, who wants to try once in his lifetime stand-up comedy? Who has like this on his bucket list? All right, we have some, good, we have 6 people, but this is for you, all right? This is for the people, and maybe some people that after tonight they say, I want to give it a try, like it's a fun experience, they have the open mics for this, and I think it's at least a feeling that it's nice to try once in your lifetime. This is also learning from the stage. So when you have your jokes written and you want to bring, you put your second strongest joke at the beginning and the strongest at the end. I think every one of you knows that we retain usually the beginning and the end the most, right? You put usually the strongest at the end because you want to leave them with a good feeling of wanting more and that they have the final good impression about you, right? Then the most edgy, vulgar, taboo material towards the end, right? Like people kind of lose up, right? After 20 minutes of comedy, their threshold of what they can tolerate goes up. So it's really, I think, never start with something too edgy or vulgar at the beginning. If you are on stage and there is a mixed stance, try to remove it, right? Because it creates like a barrier between you and the audience. Like put it on the side. I usually use it for holding my hands somehow. Usually because we are used to try on really little stage, right? When we start, we have even now I have little stage, and so you cannot move much. But then we will see also moving is an important element. Then another thing, don't cover your face with a microphone, right? A lot of people that start tends to have the microphone here, right, and covers your face. I think in every public speaking environment, this is to be avoided, right? And don't have big beard or a cap. That's also one of the things that I heard saying that stick with me. If you see the example that we're bringing is that politicians don't have beards. Like if you want to show sincerity, emotions, it's better not to have a big beard. And a cap, of course, covers facial expressions, which are also key, of course, in stand-up comedy. It doesn't seem to be the case here. Looking at you, you are not going to incur in the big beard problem. Another element, if the stage allows, it's better to walk around. This I really notice, grab people's attention more. We usually don't, just as I was saying before, because we don't have the stage that is big enough. When I have the stage that is big enough, I try to move. And this is, I think, that is also, it's true for any presentation in general. If you are, if you're allowed, if you don't have to pass in front of a slide, of course, depends on the situation. For the delivery, right? It's this technique that I don't know if I do every time, but I try to do it, right? Usually you don't look on front, right? On stand-up comedy, you look left, right. You try to capture the look of people, and then on the delivery, you deliver it at the center. That's kind of an unwritten rule, right? That the delivery is on the center so that can capture more people as possible, and no one feel excluded. And also asking for applauses to raise the energy. That's also, if you have been to a comedy show, you have seen, please give it up for this guy. Oh, please give it up for the venue. Give it up for yourself. These are all, ways that are used to increase the energy on the room. When people get active, they tend to be more awake and more prone to laugh and having a good time. So you can use it, I guess, also in a public speech, right? Please give it up for Vanessa. I didn't do it, but thinking about the past, I would have done it, right? All right, so these are the learning. Then I wanted to close with the phases of a comedian in stand-up comedy, this part, and before the social medias. I think there are some phases on stand-up comedy that we go through, right? I would say the first phase, you start with simpler jokes that are called one-liner usually. I know, so jokes that are kind of disconnected, right? They don't have to be a story. They don't have to be. They are like just simple jokes, and usually using this type of structure, so double entendre, triple paraphrase, simple truth recognition, right? The most simple. I've seen it a lot. It doesn't have to be a rule, but it's often the case. And then there is a phase 2, right? Where you get on more complex and abstract topics. So, and you use irony, reverses, incongruity, superiority, physicality, benign retaliation. So these are elements that I think it comes on a second phase. And then on the third phase, I think is when you go deeper. If you see like really established professional comedian, they go deeper, go life or death, religion, ethical dilemma, and using all the tools. And I think this is very true, that confidence is key for phase 2, right? That when you are expressing more complex jokes, you have to be confident and you know, make the audience see that you believe in your own jokes, right? And then credibility is key for phase 3. Credibility is maybe for the one of you that have been on open mic. I think if a person on the open mic comes on stage and in this 5 minutes starts talking about life and death, religion, right, going really deep, is not going to have the same reaction if an established comedian that you know is going to say the same jokes. And I think this is related to credibility. So basically, they know that this person have an interesting viewpoint on the subject, and you are more prone to listen and to find the funny on a edgy topic or a difficult topic to talk about. Good, so this is where the phases that I think that are helpful maybe for the 8th person that would like to try stand-up comedy. And then I wanted to spend some more on social media, read just 2 words. So I could get an audience through social media. Basically, I started with TikTok. Now it's been 2 years ago, more or less, that I started posting on TikTok and getting traction. And I noticed some elements on social media that that maybe are interesting for any one of you that wants to, you know, to know a bit more how it works, why a video gets pushed. So this is also important in comedy, as I was saying, for bringing people to your shows, right? So 10 years ago in comedy, there were, you know, promoters that were pushing your show, right? Or you were pushing your show, you were flyering or, you know, different tools, different marketing channels. But I think the rule was that the promoter, the venue, was going to bring people for you, right? Now it's shifted, you know, I'm the one bringing the people to the venue. You know, I ask the venue, I tell them, you don't need to do any promotion. I mean, I'm going to do my promotion. You just have the seat ready and that's it. And I do statistics also sometimes to see where the people come from that comes to my show. So, and I would say 40% is Instagram, 10% TikTok, 30% is friends or followers, of course. I mean, followers usually come with another guy. So that's a positive thing. You don't need to have only followers on your audience. And 20% are usually recommendations. Good, and now, how does a profile get popular, right? Why you see some profiles on your feed and not others, right? I think that generally the like per view ratio is the one that plays the biggest role, all right? If I see a video that starts, going in my TikTok, I mean, that's basically one of my videos that I posted, and I look and I see that the like per view ratio is 15% or more, I know that it's going to go up. You know, usually the algorithms continue to propose it when it sees that people like it, right? It starts with 100 people, 200 people, until the like per view ratio goes down, right? Usually, I know that when it's a 15%, after 500 views, I have a 15%, I know that it's going to go up. Usually is the case. If it is shared many times, so this helps. 20 times per 1,000 views is great, right? So it's an element because the platforms, of course, wants that other people come to the platform, so you share funny content and they're happy. If it has a high retention rate, of course, if there is a difference, if a person watch the whole video or just watch part of it, that's come without saying. If you have the professional view on your Instagram, everyone can have the business view. I mean, you just have to click on the business view. You can see if your video has been seen completely or just part of it, right? And also this will influence the how many times it's going to be shown to other people. But of course, if it's not watched all the way, is not going to have a good like per view ratio. So they're interconnected. And then of course, having a follower base. Having a follower base is push your views on Instagram, I have the feeling now, but not on TikTok. TikTok is still particular because it's still not based that much on your follower base. It's more, showing your videos to strangers and see what would stick. And then really interesting, some people, think that comments makes a difference. At least in TikTok, there is a study that I've seen that say that comments do not make any difference, right? They can comment as much as you want on your post on TikTok and nothing happens. In Instagram, I don't know, I think it might have a role there. Good, so thank you so much. These are the the books that I took the concept from. They're not concepts that I invented. They are concepts that are established. Also, Jerry Curley, it's one of the the guru of writing stand-up comedy. He also took the concept from other people, but he established them. So if you want to have a read, I would suggest these two books: Breaking Comedy's DNA and Comedy Writing Secret by Melvin Elser. So that would be it. So I'm open for questions, and thank you so much. Oh, we have. Please.
You talked about how important it is to focus on writing jokes, maybe reserving 20 minutes per day. It made me think about those jokes that come unexpectedly. Maybe you go to the grocery store and you think about something or you see something that's fun, then it inspires you with a joke. How many of your jokes come like that, unexpected?
Right, it's a good question. I would say 20%. I would say more or less, and I have always my Evernote. I use Evernote, so it's synchronized across. Then I write it down, I write just some words, and then I recall it later. At the beginning, when I started, I did a mistake of only basing my comedy on jokes that were coming on my daily laugh. But a lot of, if you want to write a lot of materials and better material, you have to sit down. I think my best joke right now comes from things that I did when on a writing session. Okay, yeah, thank you for the question.
May I ask you,
please,
how often do you use jokes in your corporate life?
You can ask Alessandro. We work in some project.
80%.
No, I think not that much. Alessandro, come on, not that much. 20. No, I try not to abuse it, especially in the corporate world, like big corporate, La Roche. I think. Especially like the socks joke wouldn't be acceptable, I think, in a corporate environment. So I try to minimize the use, but sometimes it comes out, and I cannot hold it.
So what type of jokes then do?
What type of joke? I try to think about if there is an innocent joke, about Zoom call. Difficult to say right now, but something.
Was it more like you put it at the beginning to break the ice, or it's more like as it goes, you prepare it as well?
Yeah, if there is, I work in partnering, so we have to interact a lot with other companies. So at the beginning, it's really good to start making a joke about the background or something light, that is not offensive, right? And it's always the line, how far you can go. I always try to not exceed a certain threshold, but I think it's a really good way to start a meeting with a new partner.
Thank you.
Please.
Is anything off limits for you, like any topics or any?
Yes. So for myself, no. If you come here and you say like really dark joke, for me it would be completely fine. In my shows, I usually, for instance, the socks joke, I don't put it anymore on my shows because I like it. Maybe it's a bit edgy for some people. I try to maintain a certain political correctness on my set because. I think I can think also jokes that are clean, right? So I try to bring clean jokes to a show. I had for jokes that would be past this threshold of being clean, I have a show that's called the offensive show, where I bring the dirty jokes to the table. But I think people appreciate more the clean jokes somehow. So this, I don't know if it was exactly your questions or.
Yeah, but are there like any areas that you completely don't touch?
Completely don't touch. I think. What I would recommend. I would say to me there is. If I listen to someone, for me, it doesn't have to have any limit. But if I would recommend you go on stage, I would recommend you don't touch racism. Only if you are part of the acting group, you can touch the racist joke, right? This is I think one of the main one. you know, all, I mean, I don't mention all, but all the topic, homosexuality, you have to be soft if you're not part of that group. There always this double standard, right? If you're part of the group, you can, and it's acceptable. If not, you have to avoid. Yeah. Oh, I don't know who was first. So it was, please.
Do you give the same tips to a female stand-up comedian, or are there some differences between men and women on stage and how jokes are received?
Mm-hmm. No, look, yeah, it's a good question. I wouldn't say there is a difference on how jokes are received by the two. We have less, it's true that we have less female comedians, and if you want to try, you're welcome. Actually, you get more opportunity because a lot of people want to have one show also like a balance, right? But there are not so many female comedians females that do stand-up comedy. So you also get more stage time. But I wouldn't say there is a difference on the jokes that you can say you cannot say. No, in my opinion. Please.
You're here because the dinner is ready and also they are waiting in the lane. I recommend. Thank you very much, Mike, for this.
Thank you. Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you.